Welcome to Small Talk with Kenya and Dawn. I'm Dawn.
And I'm Kenya.
So we are here with part 2 of exclusive relationships, and we left off last week where we were discussing the influence and how we're also using prayer to possibly remove some of those bad people that we don't want in our lives and remove them from our lives to make space and make a better way for that person, like we said before, that God's designed for us to come into our life. So Kenya, I had said that how I had decided that I needed to possibly pray someone away that I didn't think that was a good influence, and my daughter was not respectful to my daughter. Just one of them. What do you think about that? How do you feel about that? About not using prayer as a weapon, but going to God and just asking Him to take someone that is not necessarily a good fit for your child and removing them. What do you think about that?
I think that's a very good, a very important piece to that, because I don't think they always know what they need. I know God always has the plan for us, and I don't think we always know how to execute that plan. And I think that parents always have a perspective for the child. They have the guidance for the child that they're not always receiving. And I think we are better equipped to go to God to ask for that prayer, because the child's want is going to always be there, but the parent's perspective of the need for the child is always going to be greater. And going to God in prayer for it, God's will is going to be done. And not who's to say? I mean, that person for our child could be God's will for that child. But I just don't think that our child's want is always what God has for our child.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish.
No, I just think because sometimes our child or our children want what they want, and it's not always what God has for them. Yeah.
I think as parents, we can see things within our children. We can also have the discernment to know what is not necessarily always good, because we don't want to do things for selfish reasons, but we want to make sure that the people that are coming into our children's lives, especially if we have a son or a daughter, that person is going to be a good fit for them. We don't want to see them make mistakes. When you see that a man may be controlling, or the young lady may be a little bit too bossy, and sometimes those things can turn into something that we don't necessarily want to have happen in our lives. We can also, when we were talking about influence, some people can be an influence, some people can be a bad influence. We don't want to see the person that has that is walked in and they want to build a relationship with someone with bad habits, and our children take on those bad habits. So when we can see some of those red flags and some of those signs, we want to try to head those things off at the pass before it goes too far. And talking about the exclusive relationships, and I think maybe within a couple of days after we had, had the discussion, I talked to a coworker, talked to someone that I know that thought they were developing an exclusive relationship. So they decided that they needed to do some investigating, which I am in favor of. When you meet someone, to start, looking into that person's background, where they started seeing some red flags. So when it was not returning phone calls or text messages right away, and you're doing it hours later, then they decided to look into some things. Because when they brought it to my attention, I said, well, something just does not seem right. So it didn't seem right, and it wasn't right. Come to find out, married man.
Here we go.
Said, told her, hey, I'm divorced. But he was divorced, but he's also remarried. Yeah, also remarried. So she's thinking, okay, well, I'm going to be, this is a nice guy. We're going to, be able to start building something. But he wasn't being honest with her. And it was very, very hurtful to her. Luckily, she wasn't that far in, just, maybe like 4 or 5 weeks, but to have that be able to reveal to her, it was really, really important. But it boggles my mind, like we had talked about before. How can you not be honest with someone? How can you you're just fooling people?
Yep, manipulation.
You're fooling people, and said all the right things.
Yes. Yeah.
Said all the right things.
Yeah.
But it makes you also think, can we do an exclusive relationship? Can we do that? You can do it.
Yeah.
But I just think in this day and age, you got to have a vetting process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And good for her for going that extra step. Good for her, even though she may have been a little bit vested, that she absolutely was looking out for those red flags. She paid attention to those red flags.
Yes.
And even if it hurt a little bit, I'm almost positive it probably stung a little bit.
Yes.
But good for her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we just want to tell ladies, vet someone that has come into your life. If something does not seem right, 9 times out of 10, it isn't right. That's something that I learned when I was coming up. If something's just not right, if something's going off, you got some red flags, pay attention to those red flags.
Absolutely.
And I'll also say this, guys, do the same thing.
Yes.
If something about a woman just does not feel right, it's probably not right. If she's showing you signs, or that guy is showing you signs of things, pay attention. Please, please, please pay attention and ask questions.
Yes.
A lot of times people say the internet is so bad. The internet can be used for good, because a lot of people's information is definitely going to be on the internet, especially social media. And we talked about the social media before, about somebody, coming into your DMs. But pay attention to social media, and are they posting? Are they not posting? Who are they posting?
Right.
Do those things. Ask questions, and especially when you're around people's friends also, ask those questions.
Absolutely.
I don't think they had gotten that far yet.
Yeah.
But pay attention to those things and watch those things.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know, just something to think about. Definitely something to think about. But also just with the exclusive relationship, one thing that I don't think we talked about, but just to follow up with, is that person invested in God's house? Because to have the exclusive relationship, you want to build that relationship. You want to expound on that relationship. And is that person that you are looking to do those things with, are they grounded in Christ? What do you think?
I think that's a very important piece of it, because there are a lot of people out here that are in belief of many different things and many different gods. And so if we don't have that right foundation of building that relationship on God, then that foundation is going to be rocky, because relationships are hard. And when we need that strength for that relationship and that exclusive relationship while we're building it, we're going to need that strength. But also, it has to be in the center of everything that we do. And I think we have to learn to ask those questions. And even asking the question of being in an exclusive relationship, I don't think people are asking those questions when they're starting to date. Do you really want to be in an exclusive relationship? Because I think people have the right to know that. We're dating, we're spending time together, but I think there needs to be some clarity in that. And then once we have clarity in whether or not we're going to have an exclusive relationship, and we're going to have one, I think then we need to make sure that we're going to be adding to that by putting God in our relationship and then building from there.
Yeah. And one thing that I believe, that if you meet someone and one of the first things they should be asking is that question, are you a believer in Christ?
Yes.
And I say not only just a believer in Christ, but how is your walk? what are you doing? Is do you have, is church a part of what you do? Is this what your lifestyle is, or is it what's your prayer life like?
Yeah.
That's a really important thing as well, because I don't want to just see you pray over your food. I want to see what your prayer life is. What's in your heart. And I'm not saying you got to do it all on the first date, but over time you're gonna you'll start to develop those things. But let's get some of those questions answered first.
Yes.
Before we move into that relationship, because if they have a relationship with Christ, they're probably not going to be so susceptible all the time to be out running around and different people and bringing those different spirits back home that we talked about before. So just be mindful of those things. Pay attention to the red flags that will definitely come up, because if that person is not for you, trust me, those red flags will definitely appear. So we're going to wrap up with this session of Small Talk with Kenya and Dawn. Please join us again next week. You all have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We hope these tips helped you guys out with these exclusive relationships. If you guys have any other questions or input, please let us know. We're always open to helping. We're looking for your feedback. We want to help because we do believe in love, and we want to help with those exclusive relationships.
Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel at jordanchristiancenter.com. Thank you.